Anthony, somehow we survived coming up and down the mountain in the Catskills.
That was a hell of a ride, wasn't it?
Woo! I wish I was still there.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Lives. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Anthony Melchiori, so great to see you today. Of course, we got Anthony over there. I'm, of course, Glenn Hausman. And man, was that such a great experience yesterday. As a matter of fact, I had to make it my background for today because the architecture there is just so stunning in those tower cottages.
You know, it's interesting because as you're looking at that, go ahead to the one shot and go off screen for a second. As you're going through that, we don't have to bend down.
I know.
Like from the colors to the statue,
Yep.
to the eagle, everything that is behind you, I was either watching them, I was talking to them, and so I know every single little detail. What happened? What was late? What was overpriced? It was crazy, and to see it all come together so beautifully, and the colors so beautiful. It's I mean, did I overstate it? Because I know I've been talking about it for so long. Did I overstate it?
No. And I'm really sad that we're not there. That's all I got to say.
Going from the resorts world to Roxbury yesterday at 7 o'clock in the morning was a death-defying task.
It was one of the toughest, most treacherous drives I've ever taken in my life. And I've got a car that's supposed to handle snow, and I almost slid off the highway as well.
Yeah, so I know Chip is on a crunch, so let's get Chip in.
So we'll be bringing him on in just 1 second. But before we did that, hey, Avenger clients out there, did you know that Best Buy can deliver a turnkey solution scalable to meet any project of any size? Avenger clients and customers receive special negotiating pricing with Best Buy Business, along with additional benefits not available in the general marketplace. And every dollar spent with them towards your Avenger spend includes appliances, computer technology, digital signage, and of course, hospitality, TVs, and installation. You know those Geek Squad are there to help you. Please check out Best Buy at bestbuy.com/hospitality. That's bestbuy.com/hospitality. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say, hey, it's time to lower your property tax bills. You know you got crushed last year, and Bright Support is around to help you do this. And there is no fee until your tax assessment is lowered. Applications are processed in the order they're received, so give brightsupport.net/hotels a contact right now for a 30-minute consultation. Call them at 833-411-2233. That's 833-411-2233. All right, Anthony, let's bring in Chip. What do you say?
I think Breitbart just said, I'm sorry, I just misspoke. I was going to say they will never ever again ask us to be a sponsor to be a sponsor on our show because you went, hey. You introduce them. Hey.
Well, you know, whatever. I'm very comfortable with myself. Another man who's super comfortable with himself, Mr. Chip Rogers, President and CEO of AHLA, who's now regretting returning to No Vacancy Live. Chip, so good to see you today. But listen, before you say a word, it is really important for us to say congratulations. He's been named to the most influential people of 2020 with Business Traveler News, alongside incredible people like Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta Airlines, the CEO of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, and other folks out there as well that are at the upper echelon of their game. So, Chip, congratulations on such an incredible honor.
Look, thank you. It's frankly, I wish I could take the photo of my entire team and put that up there instead because they are the ones really deserving of this. I get to be the voice in the face, but the real work is the work they do. And I can't say thanks enough to my team and appreciate you guys letting me come on here today. I see you're in New York. I love New York between May and September. I'm a true Southerner. I don't like snow. I don't like cold. Put me on a beach somewhere and I'm happy.
Well, yesterday coming down the mountain, there was no tire tracks in front of me. So I thought the middle of the road was the side of the road, and my car decided to do this. And thank God I drive a Volvo because it went right back on the road. But it was death-defying. When we got to Roxbury, we all looked a little shook up.
Another reason to be in Florida.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get into it. Chip, recently, you folks had spoke to to the industry about, hey, let's get out there. And I said again, Anthony, hey, I don't know, I'm in such good mood today. You guys went out to the United States and the government and said, listen, hotels are a great place for you, for the public to come and get vaccinated. And I understand that there are certain properties in certain jurisdictions now that are taking you up on this opportunity.
Yeah, that is happening. And we've actually been in discussion with both the federal government and many of the state governments to see how we can assist here. It's all part of our Hospitality for Hope program. But I thought about it, and I shouldn't say I thought about it. I did think about it. Others brought this information to me as well. But consider what a hotel is. There's 50, at least when we started 2020, there are 55,000 hotels, usually centrally located in population areas, usually with great transportation getting to and from that hotel, large parking lots. As of right now, almost every one of them with an open meeting room or a convention room just sitting there empty. Also having rooms that are available for medical personnel if they need to stay the night. Many of them having refrigeration that is available, open 24/7, and in many cases as clean as the hospital is. So you put all that together and you say to yourself, wow, this should work. And so that's why we went out with this offer to governments to say, hey, let us help you make sure that this rollout is happening as quickly as possible.
And what's been the response?
Very good. Now, interestingly enough, many governments had already been working with other folks, and that's great. I mean, Walmart stepped up. You've got Disneyland out in Southern California stepping up. I believe they're doing this in the parking lot of Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Places all over the country that are jumping in. We want to be part of that solution. That's why we offered it. We know there are a number of hotels already doing it. We want to do it on a much larger scale. The challenge that most of these states are facing right now is not necessarily where to vaccinate, but getting the supply. And, you know, if you have Johnson & Johnson come on board here soon, and of course the ramp up at Pfizer and some of the other producers, Moderna, we think the supply will get there sooner rather than later. And when that happens, we need to be ready.
That is good news. And good news for my wife. She finally found an appointment. It is so hard to find appointments here in New York State. She's a teacher, so she gets to go ahead and do that. She has to go all the way from where we live, about an hour and a half out of the city into Brooklyn on Friday night. But at least she got an appointment. And my mom got her first shot over the weekend on Saturday. So we're moving in the right direction, Chip. But I feel as if people are really impatient, and it's so critical for us to get going. So again, congratulations for getting hotels involved in this and making that offer to happen. What do you think about this whole notion that we've been hearing a lot about maybe having this vaccine passport or proof that you are COVID-free before going on an airplane?
Well, you know, I'll leave that to the airlines, and certainly with international travel, there are already some restrictions in place. Certain countries that would not allow you in if you're not vaccinated for this or many other things. As a general proposition, we would like to remove as many hurdles as possible for people to travel. And so anytime you're telling our industry or other industries that you must jump through hoops A, B, and C in order to travel, we're going to have some concerns about that. At the end of the day, the real purpose here is to make sure that you're not mixing people who have the virus with people who don't. And so the vaccine is one way to approach that, but there are many others. Rapid testing, to me, is the best way to approach it. Keep in mind, even the best vaccines are giving us results in the 90-something percentile mark, which means there's still somewhere between 0 and 10% that are not protected from it. And the Johnson & Johnson one that just came out, and I know it's a one-shot version that is going through the process of being approved, their results were about 75%. And so when you mix in all the possible things you can do, whether they be therapeutics or vaccines, with this idea of rapid testing, I think that's where ultimately, as consumers, we need to be. If we can get rapid testing, I think I mentioned on this show before, under $5 a pop and under 5 minutes for results, well, then we have what we need.
Yes.
What do you think?
Sorry, Anthony, please go ahead.
About testing. What do you think about what's been floated up that Transportation Secretary said that we may ask for a negative COVID test before you get on the plane? And then Delta president came out and kind of poo-pooed all over that. What are your thoughts?
Look, for international travel, I think that's realistic to expect that. For domestic travel, that might be going a little bit too far. Again, I will let the airlines deal with that, but as we know, so many people who come to a hotel have to get on a plane first. So those things that restrict travel are something that are always going to cause us to have a little bit of concern.
And it seems to me that if we're going to do that, we should have been done that in the beginning. And flight attendants, captains, I've flown 4 or 5 times. No one's getting sick on planes. I mean, it's not proven. It's minuscule. So to me, to have, as the President Delta said, basically, if we have 1 million people going through every day, that's 1 million tests that we have to do. That's basically 10% of the testing in the country, which is going to really hurt the entire system because we don't have enough testing to begin with. If we put another 1 million people through the test every single day, that seems to be problematic. And I'm all about testing and vaccines and mask wearing, but it seems like that horse has left the barn, and it's proven on airplanes that it seems to be safe.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point there, Anthony. Sometimes governments at all levels have a problem in which they create a solution, then they go look for a problem to apply it to. Take New York, for example. I mean, the studies clearly showed.
Do that. I've got some stuff to say about New York, Chip. So
yeah, but look, the studies clearly showed that people going to hotels and even bars and restaurants, but specifically hotels, were not the cause of any spread of the virus. It was house parties and those type of things. And yet the governor comes out and the mayor comes out and they shut down industries and destroy businesses with no real evidence to support that is the problem. And so what we try to work with government officials on is to say, hey, let's find the problem. Let's articulate exactly what the problem is so everyone understands it. And then let's apply an appropriate solution to the actual problem. Let's not come up with a solution we think is going to work and just start applying it everywhere because it ruins confidence.
Right. We haven't been able to go to a restaurant here in a couple of months now, and it's opening Friday. Is that tomorrow, I think, right? And but most people, not me, because I haven't been going to people's homes, but a lot of people I know say, hey, come over to the Super Bowl. Hey, come over to this. It's like, no, I'm not doing it. But if there was a restaurant or a bar and I put my mask on, sit there and watch the game, that's different. But so I think that they created that problem. I think in the beginning it was important, but I think the second shutdown was ridiculous. We just went to a casino and in New York. When you go to Vegas or Atlantic City, you wear a mask, they put glass in front of you and they leave you alone. You could not drink a bottle of water on the floor. And every single time you touched a chip, they took the chip, put it in a container. And then there was a lady with a big pasta pot, literally washing the chips. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
And not as delicious as Anthony's wife's pasta, by the way.
That's correct.
Yes.
So, of course not.
So, Chip, yesterday I put out a video on this particular topic under my No Vacancy News Today, and all of you out there can watch that on Facebook and LinkedIn profiles. But we also discussed it on our show with the Resorts World's executives on Monday. Now, these are the rules that they have there that really frustrate me. And again, this is Governor Cuomo's regulations, not Resorts World. They are following the rules that they are told they have to follow to the letter, which is why they took a bottle of water out of Anthony's hands. Other things, you have to close by 10 p.m. Everyone off the casino floor by 10 p.m. Absolutely ridiculous, as if COVID could only be caught from 10:01 p.m. onward. Secondly, one of the issues that really bothered me is we wanted to get a drink in the little cocktail lounge that's adjacent to the casino floor, but you can't get a drink unless you have some food in front of you. So they have to go through the semantics of putting a cheese plate in front of you or a small salad. And God forbid you finish it and they take the plate from you, then you're banned from drinking again. We went to go get a dinner. We sat down at a table, and the first thing that's supposed to happen is you're supposed to get asked if you want a cocktail. They were not allowed to. As a matter of fact, they said, hey, can I get a drink? They're like, no, not until you specifically put an order in for an appetizer. Until food is in the computer, you're not allowed to drink. Chip, I don't understand how any of these rules are supposed to help us, how they're supposed to help people make money, how they're supposed to keep people in the hospitality industry employed. It all seems to me to be rules, again, like you were taking. They're just pulling them out of nowhere that don't seem to have any connection to reality. What can New York hoteliers and folks in the restaurant business do to combat stuff that I personally think is ridiculous? Oh, yeah. And the Double Tap restaurant was not allowed to open at all just because their doors open to what the casino floor is supposed to be, because they say it's on the casino floor when it's not on the casino floor.
Tell us how you really feel, Glenn.
It just drives me crazy. At the beginning of all of this, guys, I was just like you. I understood the need for what we had to do because we didn't understand it. The rules are clear now. The science is clear, and I don't feel some of these places are paying attention at all to the science out there. Chip, you respond in any way you feel appropriate.
Well, look, by nature, by design, government's usually behind the times, and that's good. We don't want government to overreact in anticipation of a problem. They should always react when a problem exists and do so appropriately. The real problem, as you described, Glenn, and in your story there, can be magnified across this country 1,000 times, is that when you create an arcane set of rules that the average person looks at and says, that makes no sense, ultimately they say, if it makes no sense, I'm just not going to comply with it. That's the real problem that we have. When people say, some people say they're aghast that other people aren't wearing masks, I think part of the problem is some people that don't want to wear masks say, look, all these rules are stupid. The government can't figure out any of this, so I'm just not going to do anything at all. That's not a good approach to take. I'm not suggesting that's the approach anyone should take.
Right.
But governments need to look at it. They need to reflect on this and say, look, how can we have as few rules as possible, make them as easily understood as possible, make sure they are literally backed up by science. And, the default should always be to allow people to be free to do what they want, until such time as they do something that endangers somebody else.
That's right.
And, taking away a casino chip from someone who put their finger on it is not endangering anybody, right? It just, it really makes a mockery of the rest of the rules that actually may work. And so you have to think about it that way. Now, your question was, what can hoteliers do? One, we got to be unified and speak with a singular voice. You can imagine these elected officials. Put yourself at City Council of New York or state legislature in New York or in Congress. And you're having everybody tell you so many things. Health experts are saying this, these folks are saying this business is saying this. If you're not unified in your voice and then speak with one succinct voice, you're just going to get lost in the noise. And that is what's happened to our industry in the past. I'm doing my best to try to make sure that doesn't happen now or in the future. But you have to be working with your state association. You got to be working hopefully with AHLA so that we're all speaking with that same voice.
Anthony, did you want to say something?
Absolutely. And it's just, listen, at the end of the day, we should be talking about how to keep yourself healthy, nutrition, vitamins, taking care of yourself, wearing your mask. We should talk about testing, vaccines. We should not be talking about, like you said, the arcane rules. I mean, some of them are just insane. And when you're wearing a mask and you're basically speaking through glass, you can't touch your mouth. You're not touching your mouth. You're not putting your fingers in your mouth. Nobody's eating or drinking, but you're cleaning a chip on the floor. It was literally, and when you go to Vegas and you go to New Jersey, you feel really safe. I say again, like I feel safest in a casino than anywhere. It's very, very safe. And they're not playing games. You take your mask off, you leave.
Except the ones on the tables.
So good common sense. And like you said, Chip, that's what we need. We need good common sense, not just the government being able to control us. And again, in the beginning, I understood it. I'm a big proponent of it, but now it's just a little out of hand.
Yeah. So
and let me just throw this in there too. And this is what's lost, and this is probably the most frustrating thing for me. If let's just say we took a group of 50 people, right, and we say, guys, here's a problem, and I want all 50 of you to work on it. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you then check back after a little while and say, okay, who's solving this problem? Who's not solving this problem? Whose solution is working best? Whose solution is not? Well, that's what we have here in the United States. We have 50 different states that have been working on this problem. Some of them have been doing well, others haven't. Why are we not taking instruction from those states that are doing well and saying, okay, now let's apply this elsewhere? But we get so caught up in red and blue and so caught up in my state compared to this state that we were not even willing to look at that. I again, this is not a personal attack to Governor Cuomo, but when you look at the statistics that have come out of the state of New York on what this virus has done and compare them to most other states, you will quickly draw the mathematical conclusion that the policies that were employed there did not seem to work. Mm-hmm. So why would we hold those up as an example of what others should do?
Right. In the beginning, as a person that went through it, in the beginning, I understood it. Not only I understood it, I was breathless. Absolutely. We needed to do it because it got crazy and we just couldn't handle it. So flatten the curve was kind of it seems now it was kind of, you're not going to flatten the curve. So we flattened it so bad because nobody moved. Okay. But then when you're moving and you're seeing the spike, we're going to flatten it again. Well, you just now got to go about your business and be careful. So in the beginning, the first couple of weeks, it was really scary and dangerous. And there was, the hospitals were overwhelmed. And I had a friend that was in the ER, and every day he would come home, and it was tragic. And like I said, I lost a friend. It was tragic. But then, like you said, learn of what we need to do. We were the first ones hit, so we had to react quicker, and we didn't have any knowledge. And now that we have knowledge, we're still here. Restaurants in New York a year later are not open. Think about that. Let's just let that marinate.
Yeah, it's absolutely
of restaurants in New York will never come back.
Well, and guys, for our industry, this is, I've mentioned this to a lot of folks, and I really want to see the data as we get into spring and summer, because what's happening right now, we know this for a fact. People are planning vacations, right? I would love to come to New York in June. New York is stunning in June. But you know what? Why would I plan that if I have no idea if the restaurant's going to be open, if the Empire State Building's going to be, if anything's going to be open? I have no idea. But what I do know is that in June, I can go to Florida and things are going to be open. I can go to Texas and things are going to be open. I can go to Arizona and things are going to be open. I think what we're going to see is that because there has been so much uncertainty, when people are in the planning stages of travel as they are right now, the ultimate benefactors are going to be those places that are sending the message, you're safe and we're open for business. And the problem is you still have a lot of states that their rules are just so arcane that people say, I don't even want to plan to go there.
Right. And I think we have to really make clear, just because you're traveling and just because you're going to Texas or Florida, you still want to be safe. You still don't want to go into a restaurant where people are bumped up against each other. You still want this table separated. You still want to see your waiters and waitresses wearing masks. You still want, personally, I want to see people walking in the restaurant with the mask, sit down, take the mask off. I want to walk through an airport and see somebody wearing a mask. I don't want to sit next to somebody that's in the middle seat. So if you have that limit, that seems to me to make sense. But to tell me I cannot go into a restaurant, be 10 feet away from each other, it doesn't make any sense. So that to me is my level of safety. I will not, like, I'm going to Florida in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Florida and I'm leaving because there are some things that I see that I'm not comfortable with. So I'm going to make sure I'm comfortable where I'm going, where I'm staying, what I'm doing, and I'm going to leave. We have to make those decisions for ourselves. And those people that don't want to wear a mask, throw them out. But we cannot shut down our businesses a year later. New York City has been gutted.
Yeah, it is sad. And the problem, as you know, Anthony, is that if I want to take a vacation or a business trip somewhere, and my belief is that all the restaurants there are going to be closed and there's going to be nothing for me to do, I'm probably not going to choose that location.
100%.
And
yeah.
that's the problem right now. I mean, I walk through the streets of Washington, D.C. If you go down in the Penn Quarter area, half the restaurants that were there a year ago, they're not just closed, they're gone. The space is vacant. And that was someone's livelihood. That was many people's livelihood. That was a business owner's dream, American dream. And all the people that work for them, their jobs are gone. And in many ways, we've done this to ourselves. I mean, again, I'm going to use D.C. as an example because I eat out a lot there. 3 weeks before the inauguration, I could go safely into a restaurant wearing a mask and be separated from people by usually 10 feet. Completely safe, no problem. The 2 weeks up to the inauguration, they decided, you know what, we're not going to have any more indoor dining. And they made people sit outside under these heaters in 20 degrees. No one was going to do that, right? I mean, I did it, stupidly enough, but most people aren't going to do it. The week after the inauguration, we're back to being inside the restaurants again. And what happens, as you guys know, is that people look at it and are like, this makes no sense.
Right. And that's the whole thing. And that's what's frustrating about it. But Chip, I know we're running out of time with you, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the topic that we always seem to be talking about. What's going on with the next stimulus package right now? Where do you see it? How does it stand in terms of the needs for the hospitality community?
Look, we've gotten some great reception from both the from the new administration, which has been good to work with so far, and even the new Congress. And so we're very hopeful. They clearly understand where we are. I mean, this statistic you saw recently that about 39% of all the jobs lost during the pandemic came out of the hospitality and tourism sector of our economy. It's mind-boggling, right? That almost 4 out of 10 jobs have been lost. So I think they get that. You're not going to see in this package that is about to go through a lot for businesses, because this one's more focused on how do we get money to get the vaccine out and help state and local governments and people. There's expected to be another package that quickly follows it sometime in mid-March, and that's the one we're focused on. And we hope to see something much broader than what we've seen with PPP so far. The second round or second chance PPP is actually working quite well.
Excellent.
Took a week or so to get going, but it seems to be going. People are getting money, and that's really good. We had a survey that showed about 95% of hoteliers have applied for PPP, and so we think that trend will continue, and that will be helpful.
Wow. Wonder what the other 5% are thinking.
So
they're beach hotels. They don't.
That's a good point.
So, Chip, end of August, what does that look like for the big cities? Not what we've been talking about, the vacationers and beaches. We know that's going to be really ridiculously strong. But what does New York, Chicago, LA look like in August?
Yeah, New York and Chicago in particular, and LA, if they don't change some of the policies, still going to be a struggle. What we're hearing is that a lot of the meetings and conferences are moving into the fall or canceling for this year and just planning for next year. And so what we had hoped would be some conference and convention business in June and July. That doesn't look like it's going to materialize.
Yep.
August, I think, is still a little shaky. You'll see a pretty nice uptick in September and October, in particular, the first part of November, but nowhere near what we saw in 2019. And we're probably talking, 20, 30% of the volume.
Right. Excellent. Any final thoughts, Chip?
These are trying times, no question about it. Just because the calendar clicked from December 31st, 2020 to January 1st, 2021, doesn't mean our problems went away. In fact, in many cases, they're even tougher right now.
Right.
There is light at the end of the tunnel, but we got to remain unified. I say it all the time. We have to have that singular voice, at least with respect to us. We ask everybody to go to hotelsact.org, sign up for free so that you can be part of that loud, unified voice. And when we do that, we stand a better chance of winning.
Well, we still have a few more months before we go to 2021. We're still in 2020 and a half.
Well, except for the fact they're expecting us to pay our taxes soon. So let the IRS know about that, Anthony.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right. No taxes for all. All exactly. Right. Chip, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And of course, anytime you want to come back, come back. Anthony, any final words? Do you have something to say?
We all admire you and thank you for all the work that you all doing at AHLA. Thank you.
Congratulations again on being recognized for all the hard work you and your team have been doing since this crisis started. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
it. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you. And Glenn, I want to recognize you for all the hard work you're not doing.
Yeah, well, that's my goal. You know what I mean? My goal in life is to get a big contract to do a job, and then they cancel the contract, but I still have to get paid, and then I just get to hang out at home. So
you want to be a football player? Or no, baseball.
Yeah, baseball player, not football player. Those poor guys. Oh my God, they give their whole bodies over for.
They don't pay you.
Now, before we get on to our next guest, I did want to mention that our great friends at Ecotech and these terrific cardboard disposal units are taking what they really do is they've made trade shows work a lot easier for people out there, right? You don't need to have permanent garbage cans. We were speaking to somebody the other day and they're like, oh my God, I'd love to have that when we do events. And we put them in touch because it's so convenient. It's so smart.
And the person that mentioned it may have thousands of hotel rooms.
That's right. eco-techwaste.com. Go check them out, please. You're going to make your customers happy. You're going to save money. You're going to reduce costs all around because it's a lot cheaper to throw those out and keep placing those plastic ones that are harmful for the environment as well. All right. So I want to move on to our next guest right now from the Association for Packaging and Processing and stuff. Hard to believe that we're going to have someone outside the hospitality industry on the show, but we wanted to get an unfettered look at what companies are thinking about when it comes to events in the next year or so. Following up on Chip's words, that's why we got Mr. Jim Pittas with us. Jim, so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thanks, Glenn. Good to meet you.
And
Right.
those trash cans, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Those are great. We use those. We had for a couple of years. So I don't know if they're your sponsors' trash cans, but I know
they are.
That's a hot thing in our industry right now.
Yep,
they're a lot easier to deal with.
If they're not our sponsors' trash can, they better be by tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. I took a note. I wrote it down, so I'll check it out when we're done.
All right. So anyway, PMMI, really interesting. You guys do a whole bunch of trade shows out there. I think to orient us on what you're planning. I mean, right now I see that you've got 2 events planned for 2021, 3 events planned for 2022. Tell us a little bit about your company, the types of events that you were typically doing before COVID as a starting off point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I really enjoyed the conversation prior to this. That was pretty interesting to me. And
Thank you for being patient with me.
oh, no problem at all. And I hope he is right that August and September is going to be the breakout month for us. I kind of think he's right. I might be even a little earlier, but so PMMI, we're a trade association. We're based out of Herndon, Virginia, which is right outside of Washington, D.C.
Hey, my buddy there.
Yeah. And we represent 950 packaging and processing manufacturers of equipment in North America. Most of our members are American companies. We've been around we're coming up to 100 years here, and our big deal, the thing that we do most and best is our trade shows. And we have, as you said, we have a total of 5 trade shows, but they're biennial events, 3 in one year, 2 in the other. They're large shows. Our biggest show is in Chicago. It's 1.2 million net square feet. 45,000 attendees, 25,000 exhibitors. So yeah, they're big shows. We book a lot of hotel rooms and pretty important. We were disappointed last year in 2020 when we had to cancel. First time ever in our history that we've ever had to cancel an event.
Because I'm confused. What kind of shows are they? What?
So those pictures are popping up there right now. You're seeing them. So everything you buy is packaged somewhere, someplace, somehow, and none of it's done by hand. It's done with machinery and automation. And our members actually represent or make the machinery that packages that equipment. And so the exhibitors are all the people that have either the machines that do the packaging or the processing of food, or lots of things are processed, but food mostly. And the materials they put them in. And so it's a really hidden industry, but it's something that touches your life every single day, and you don't even think about it.
Well, when I was in the retail and wholesale bread business in New York City, I learned a lot about packaging and cardboard. And I will tell you, the cardboard guy had like 5 Lamborghinis.
Yeah. Corrugate's a good business to be into, especially if you're selling to Amazon these days. So
for sure, for Amazon. But I'm thinking about, I know this is not related to the events part of it, but I love how packaging really took off. I think since Apple really made the packaging as important and beautiful as the product. And now it seems like every single packaging that you see out there is really about the experience a lot more than just being something to house a product.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's the high-end packaging is a big industry and big business, and we're happy to serve it any way we can. I think the majority of the equipment that's sold is actually not for the high-end stuff. It's your cornflakes that you're buying at the grocery store.
That's right.
So that's the big area that you'll see at our show is how you can package, tons of cornflakes in 5 minutes, right? That's what they want to do. So yeah, it's a big industry, but to the topic, we run shows, and we're very interested in these convention centers opening. I thought it was interesting as you folks were talking about New York, and granted, that's your perspective. That's where you are. As I said, I'm in Virginia. We're a little different down here. I think one of the things you guys didn't cover that would have been really, really helpful if we could figure out some way that the rules are consistent across the board. That to me is the biggest problem. It's not even state by state; it's county by county. Huh. And where one county can decide we're going to do this and this and this, and we're fortunate we've had restaurants open almost, well, not those first few months, but pretty much since May or June of last year.
Fortunately, our constitution's not set up that way, and you cannot tell Texas to abide by a rule that Chicago, New York, or Illinois, and New York is going to abide by. So it's just not, the government's just not set up that way. So I just wish, I think, to Chip's point, red and blue don't exist. Like, it should just be what's good for business and what's good for safety.
I totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. It's just,
what cities do you guys do expos in? Out of curiosity.
We're in Philadelphia, Chicago, and Las Vegas.
All right,
and then 2, we have Mexico City and Guadalajara.
I'd like to show you Long Beach, California.
So you say you get up to 45,000 or so people to some of these events. So what is it looking like in 2021? You've got an event in Mexico City, June 8th through 11th, and then Las Vegas, September 27th through 29th, and then next year in Philadelphia in March. So if we could go through each of these, being that we're dealing with different personalities of jurisdictions, how do you see these things playing out?
Yeah. So, all right. So going in order here, for June, Mexico is highly unlikely. I think it's just a matter of us kind of getting our act together and canceling that show. Mexico is in a much different position than the U.S. And there's no appetite, I think, even from our members to go there right now. So that brings us to our next show, which would be, and we're only talking about our trade shows. So I should mention PMMI does a lot of other meetings. There's smaller 200, 300, 400 people meetings as well in between there. But I'm just talking specifically to the shows.
And let's get to the ones after this.
Yeah, the shows. So our next big show will be in Las Vegas in 2019. It was 900,000 square feet, 30,000 attendees, another 20,000 exhibitor personnel on top of that. Probably 70,000 room nights. We feel confident that show is going to happen. We really do. We think listening to our members, there seems. I'll tell you this, across the board, attendees and exhibitors, they want to get back to these face-to-face meetings. They really do. We've tried the virtual thing and nothing. It provides some pretty good stuff, but it's not a replacement for trade shows, and it never will be. And I think we've all tried to create a virtual event that replicates the show, and you just can't do it. Yeah. So we're giving up on that part of it. And I can tell you, just based on the responses we got so far, the exhibitors and the attendees, they want to do it. Now, there's going to be some that can't, right? There's going to be corporate policies saying, we're not allowing any non-essential travel, and we are going to be down. I think Chip said he was expecting, 20 to 30% is the number. So meaning you're down 70%. I don't think it's going to be that high for us. I think we're going to be maybe closer to, 50%. I'm hoping we can, make it even a little bit better than that.
What date is it in Vegas?
We're the end of September, right at the very end of September. September 29th is when we open. And it's Vegas. I think Vegas has a much better shot of opening. You guys were talking about New York, and I haven't heard anything good about Javits opening anytime soon.
It's all right. I never heard anything good about Javits when they were open.
Yeah. So I think we have a better shot in Vegas than we do in Chicago. I think they're making a lot of bad choices right now. And Vegas, they live on this tourism. They've got to open.
And they're doing a good job. As a person that's been there, we've both been there. They're doing a good job. They're doing the best they can, and they're very serious about the rules, which is great. But you don't feel them. They're just there. But I'm very impressed with what they're doing.
Yeah. We're kind of interested in hearing from Las Vegas and the state of Nevada. Really, is what the rules are going to be to hold these events. Right? Are you going to require? You guys were talking about testing. You're going to require us to test people. You're going to limit the number of people. I think what I hope has been already resolved is that these governors see that trade shows are different than concerts and sporting events, right? You can walk into a 2 million square foot convention center and maintain pretty decent social distancing through that.
And keep your mask on.
Keep your mask on, right? And we're prepared to do whatever we need to do. I think we're prepared to do even the things we don't really think are necessary. We'll do them if that's what it takes. We'll do it.
Listen, if they're allowing the Super Bowl, 25,000 people, come on, you can go through a convention center and wear a mask. And if you don't want us to eat or drink, then just have designated areas. But there's no rhyme or reason why you can have everything else going on in the world, as long as, like you even see on TV, whether it be politicians, like even in the chamber, in Congress, they're on top of each other, but they're wearing a mask. Yeah. So as long in a trade show, we can open trade shows, wear a mask.
Yeah, I agree. We believed last year we could have done this safely. I don't know if anybody would have come, but we thought we had a pretty good plan in place. So we're anxious to get back at it. I think it's going to be a transition year. I don't think we're going to bounce right back. I think it's 2022 before we see the numbers we were having prior to COVID. Our other meetings that we do, and like I said, we do lots of meetings throughout the year. It looks like our first one's going to be April. We actually just did a survey to our members to see, hey, will you come to our spring meeting? And 40% said yes. We got 15 or 16% that are a maybe right now, and the others are no. Now that can change. It could change either way, right? It could change for the better or the worse. But if I had surveyed those people last fall, I bet you would have been 5% would have come and 95% no. So I definitely see a trend and a turn here, and we're going to try to get out there as quickly as we can.
What I see a trend in is once these conventions start, I would have a tailor on hand, because when we put our suits on, we realize, these don't fit anymore.
Yeah. Well, they do shrink when they're in your closet, if you don't wear them and stretch them out every so often. So
I put my pants onto my suit yesterday, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, we got a problem. I need a test."
Yeah,
But it was weird. It's weird to like kind of get back into shining your shoes and putting your suit on and your cuff, like getting all ready to go out. It's like, oh, this is a hassle.
Yeah,
Well, that's why I never did it, Anthony.
Yeah.
You know?
Trying to get these college days.
So, Jim, we were talking about Las Vegas and stuff, and Anthony had mentioned a few months ago about how MGM and companies like Wynn Las Vegas are going to be, I should say Wynn Resorts that has Wynn Las Vegas. They're going to be focused on maybe getting some sort of the vaccine type passport or COVID negative test passport sort of thing. This is separate from the conversation we were just having with Chip. What do you think about having an idea like that to bring a sense of safety and security, or perceived safety and security, to your trade show environment?
So I kind of agree with Chip with what he was saying. Anytime you put something in place like that, a restriction, you start limiting people. And focused on the vaccine a little bit, there are people in the world who are not going to get that vaccine. They just don't want to, for whatever reason. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying there's a group of people that just will never do it. So I'm not big on forcing people to do that if we don't have to. That said, if they told me I could, start traveling, if I had a vaccine, I'd go get one tomorrow if I can find it, right? I would be willing to do my part to get us back to as normal as possible, but I don't believe we would ever impose the rule you have to. We'd maybe encourage it, but we're not going to impose that rule on anybody unless the state comes to us and says we have to.
See, I think to get started, especially for the last quarter, either a vaccine or some kind of test there. They're working on, I know Mr. Flynn over at the MGM was working on some kind of literally rapid test. Not him, but he was getting technology that you literally know in seconds. So whether it be a vaccine, listen, when I travel, to some countries, I got to bring my little vaccine card. I have no problem with having to show a vaccine card or getting a negative test when I'm there, because at the end of the day, when I'm there, I don't want to think about it. And so if I'm thinking about it, it's like I have to make a decision, right? When I go and they're not asking for vaccines and they're not asking that everybody's negative, then I got to make a decision. Okay. My decision is going to be, I don't want to go to that cocktail party. I'm going to walk through the trade show with my mask on, do what I have to do, and go up to my room and have room service. If I know people are vaccinated and I know that you have to have a negative test, even if there are some people there that get through, I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to enjoy myself. So I think in the beginning, especially Vegas, I think Vegas has got to set the standard like they did. They shut down and then they opened up and then they shut down again. Some hotels have shut down or whatever to save expenses, but they shut down hard, which was shocking to everyone. Okay. But then they reopened. And now you go to Vegas. Of course, there's no shows, but there's restaurants, and it doesn't feel, if on the weekend, it doesn't feel bad. During the week, it's a little weird because it's a little quiet. But on the weekend, it feels like Vegas.
Yeah.
Safety.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the testing and the vaccinations, if it's a mandate, it's a comfort level, right? It's a way to make people feel comfortable that what you're doing. I think, the airlines are probably in a tougher spot. I think there's, like I said, a lot of people who are just kind of freaked out by vaccinations, and I'm not one of them, but I understand the concern. I think for them to get back to some level of normalcy, that's not, quadruple numbers below normal, I think they're going to have to do something dramatic like that.
Well, planes have been proven that they're not transferring COVID to everyone.
Totally agree with you on that.
Right. So I don't take my mask off on the plane. I'll go to Vegas for 5 hours. I don't even drink water. I keep my mask on. I go to sleep. That's just my personal preference. But when I get to Vegas, okay, again, my personal preference is to relatively separate. If I go to a convention, I want to enjoy myself. So I would like some kind of understanding that we're all in this together, and let's just have fun, and let's have drinks together, and let's shake hands and hug. But let's do it right until we get over this.
Yeah. No, it certainly can be done. It can be done right. If you do just some simple things, I think this can all work out fine. And I agree with you. I think Anthony, you had said in the earlier segment that, the big spreading events are not getting on an airplane or staying at the hotel. It's you're going over to your brother's house and he has 150 people there, or the kids in college. And, those are the
Glenn and I got in the car this week, the other day together. We had our mask on. We had our mask on. So like, there's nothing like, I don't think about, when I went to dinner, I had my mask on. It was ridiculous. But if you're in a closed environment and the windows are closed because it's cold out, that just makes me feel better. Okay.
Yeah.
But that just makes me feel better because I don't know, I don't know
Right.
I don't know who he's kissing.
Yeah.
Well, not you, unfortunately, but what are you going to do? All right, so we got a couple of great questions coming from the audience, Jim. First one is, have you shortened the days of your planned convention? And I will add, or do you still have to have that last day of the convention so actually people stick around for the second day of the convention?
Yeah. That's the oldest problem in the trade show business. And I've been doing trade shows for over 30 years. So I understand it well. And so here's one good byproduct. Well, to answer the question, no, we are not shortening our trade show days. We are staying as is. We're only a 3-day show in Las Vegas. We're a 4-day show in Chicago. One thing that we are going to do is when people register for our show, typically you just register for the 3 days or the 4 days. You don't tell us what day you're coming. We are thinking of limiting the days, right? So we're going to allow 10,000 people to come on Monday, 10,000 on Tuesday, 10,000 on Wednesday. And so you'll register and tell us which days you're going to. And we actually kind of think that we might be able to push some of those folks from the first 2 days of the show into that last day of the show. Could be a benefit for all of us. So
are we going to make the announcement now that me and Glenn are the keynotes for your?
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to do that right now.
He and I have a lot of knowledge on packaging, so it's going to be perfect.
Yeah. Yep. So now our other meetings, we are looking at the schedule. For example, our spring meeting that's coming up, this one in April, which will be our first meeting. That's usually a 4-day event. We're making it a 2-day event.
Right. Okay. What was the reason for shortening that event?
So we're definitely going to be down on how many people we have there. We just felt it was maybe a better trying to be, to responsive to those folks who are a little concerned. We're eliminating some of the closer networking events that we have at this meeting. And, we're just going to consolidate it all down to 2 days. And, we encourage folks, if they want to come early or stay longer, feel free. We're going to be at a nice resort in Marco Island and do whatever you'd like to do. So
as a person that's responsible for really helping the hotel business and the food and beverage business, hospitality business with thousands and thousands of people and millions of dollars, without telling me which is your favorite brand, do you have certain hotel brands that you like working with better because they're easier to work with?
So I don't. Prior to COVID, I don't think we had any, we really went with locations and amenities and we tend to be at some higher ends. I got to tell you, and it just by chance, we had multiple Marriott properties with meetings scheduled. And I can't say enough how fantastic they've been through this whole thing of carrying over monies and deposits and, working with us to kind of push cancellation dates back as far as we possibly can. Even this meeting that we're talking about at Marco Island, which was originally thought to going to be, 300 people, 400 people, possibly, it looks like it might be less than 100, right? And they're willing to work with us on attrition and food and beverage minimums. And they have been really a fantastic partner.
And the reason I asked that question is because you went into this really without a favor, but these are opportunities where hotels really have a chance to step up and make it. You're already stressed out. You're already losing money. You're already worried about your business, and they just make it easy for you. And that's really good to hear. And they took this opportunity, and they didn't waste the pandemic in that sense.
Yeah. And I'm just saying it's Marriott because we had multiple Marriott properties. It just happened to be that way. I'm sure the other hotels would have worked with us as well. But
internally now, that. So if you are having a problem with another brand, you're like, you know what? Next time, just go to Marriott. We don't have that problem. And that's that's how you train your guest, right? That's how you train your customer. It's like, come to us, we'll take care of you. And I was just curious as a hotel guy.
Yeah.
Jim, following up with another question, your industry, I feel, has continued to do well throughout this past year, right? You mentioned Amazon earlier, right? So do you see an increase or decrease in sponsorship pricing for trade shows out there, either for your particular show or outside other ones? Because if there's going to be less people theoretically coming, does that change how you go about things?
So we're not lowering our price because we think it's going to be less attended. We're staying with our pricing as is, and in fact we put an increase in there because we run on a 2-year budget cycle, and that's what we do. And our board approved that. I should tell you, our board are also exhibitors, so whatever increases we put in, they're paying.
That's good.
And so they are telling us not to change anything. I will say, as a whole, our industry has not suffered one bit through this pandemic, and in fact, most of the members I talk to are going crazy.
Right, of course.
People not going to restaurants means they're going to grocery stores to buy packaged goods, and that has been a boom for our industry. And many of them are telling me it's maybe the best year they've ever had, 2020.
Yeah, of course.
So my biggest question is, who supplies all the boxes to Amazon?
I don't know. It's not me. I wouldn't be doing this right now if that was me.
Oh,
but
I wouldn't be on your show if I was like a billionaire.
Yeah.
I know Jeff Bezos is leaving as CEO, but I feel like their next big move after building up these delivery systems and airlines, they're going to start their own cardboard box business.
Yeah.
Right?
They probably do have their own converting thing. I bet you they're not
box services or something.
Yeah.
They have their own planes, their own trucks. So why not your own? I wouldn't imagine why they wouldn't have their own boxes. But anyway, Jim, it was a pleasure. And, you're the reason our businesses work, because people like you need space. So it was just interesting to hear your perspective, and it's great to hear that your business and your industry is doing well while our industry is getting crushed. So go screw yourself. I'm just kidding.
Jim, one more question for you before we go. What should hotel sales managers do to stand out to expos that are returning?
Good question.
What's important for them that should be different than before to make guys like you happy? And this
That's
came
an entire show right there.
It goes back to what I was saying about the Marriott. I mean, just working with us, none of us wanted to cancel our events. And although our members are doing fantastic, our association, we have struggled to be clear on that, when you cancel all of our programming for the last 3 quarters of 2020, that's a problem. We did have pandemic coverage on our big show, and that helped a lot. We're not going to have that now moving forward. But just whether the hotels or the sales managers, just that constant contact, and at least, working with us. We're not looking to try to get out of some contract that we signed. We'd like to have the event. That's why we're here. And everybody's struggling. This is a hard time for everybody. And we all got to kind of figure out how to get through it together. And
let me ask you a question. If I'm a convention center that's maybe not New York, Las Vegas, and I'm thinking about one in particular, how would they go about just saying, hey, we'd like to show you our convention center. We'd like to give you an opportunity to take a look at us. What is the best way for someone to do that?
So I'm not sure for PMMI that we're a great example of this, because most of the time when we pick a city to have a show, it's a specific reason because of an attendee group that's in that area. So for example, our show in Philly is really tailored towards the pharmaceutical and healthcare packaging industry, because that's a hub for that industry right there. So, a lot of times we start with the area or region we want to be in, and then we pick the convention center. So it's not like we're going to take our Philly show and move it to the Wynn, right? We wouldn't do that.
Got it.
So it's good to know they're out there. I mean, we attend our industry trade shows and our industry events, and it's always good to know what's available, what's possible.
Well, personally, what gets your attention, just from a sales, because I get this question almost on a daily basis from sales managers. How do I get busy people's attention, whether it be in the hotel business or in other businesses? You're busy. What is it? A direct call? Is it a little present? Is it showing up at your office saying, hey, how are you? My name's Anthony. What resonates with you?
Yeah, that's and I came from sales. That's where I started. And I know how hard that can be. And I can tell you, since I was promoted to CEO and president, I never realized how much even more you get solicitations. And it's hard to, email is almost worthless. I got to tell you, most of the emails never make it off the phone, right? They're swiped even before I look at them. And that's hard. I will tell you, I think
everybody's got to hear what you just said. Emails are almost worthless. Remember what you just said.
If Glenn sent me an email right now, I'd answer it because I know Glenn, right? And that's fine. But when it's just that blank solicitation, and I know that's what it is, it almost, hey, and we own a publishing company as well. So PMMI owns a lot of different things, but we own a publishing company as well. And that's a hard thing to sell to our advertisers, to say, just email blasts alone now just are not effective. And it's not that our lists are worse, that you're not getting the open rates. It's people are just not opening.
I delete them all day. That's what I do. Delete.
I know.
Delete.
And that's only the ones that get through your spam filter, and the ones that you didn't already tag as junk mail, right?
Right.
So back to your question, I think, we have a couple industry events for the trade show industry, Expo probably being the biggest and most important. And we probably make most of our contacts there, and that's an honest answer. There are 3 or 4 of us that go every year. We go there to network with our peers, of course, but you always, find that one new vendor, right? That one new, hey, I didn't even know these guys did that kind of thing.
One new person whose email you'll respond to.
Yeah, from that point on, I probably will.
So let me ask you this. I go and I'm just really curious because like I said, I get this question almost daily. I go to a trade show. Say I don't know, I'm a salesperson for another convention center, and I think I may be able to get your business. And I go to a cocktail party, and I'm smart enough to get right next to you. I go, hey, my name's Anthony. Here's my card. You give me your card. Now I send you a little present, a little box of chocolates, or whatever, and say, hey, thank you. It was really a pleasure meeting you. Truly appreciate it. Hopefully you and I can do business. I'd like to set up a meeting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That little box of chocolates that cost me $8. Does that make a difference?
Well, it'll stand out, right? I guess I would remember the little box of chocolates. I won't remember the email or just the card. And I do think for the trade show industry, we don't move quickly, right? You don't change venues every year. But knowing that a few years back when we were launching our Philly show, we were deciding where to have that show, and we were down to Charlotte, Atlantic City, New York, and Philly. And it's an opportune time, I guess, if you're from one of those cities, to get in front of us and say, hey, we can do this for you, and here's how. So I think just for the trade show business especially, I think it's just being there at the right time, right?
It goes back to traditional, shake my hand and let's talk. And if we like each other, we can probably do business.
I do respect the person though that sends the thing saying, hey, listen, I get you're not looking for us right now, but maybe down the road you are, and just keep us in mind. And we have lots of vendors over the years that we have been in touch with, and then finally it's some opportunity comes up, and it's like, hey, I remember Anthony does this. Let's call Anthony. Let's see if he can do it. Right. We do that all the time. That happens a lot. So yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. We really
You're
appreciate
very welcome.
it, Jim. This was really excellent. I wish we had more time with you.
Anytime, fellas. Just let me know.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Take care. So, Anthony,
you just literally slammed the door in his face.
Oh no, I didn't realize. Sorry,
that was so rude. That was so rude.
When did he cut me off, Anthony? Because I was saying something really touching there right at the end, and he must.
He was just like, all right, thank you, goodbye. Who the hell are you? Screw you.
Could you please repeat it again?
I don't even know what I was saying. I just kept talking. I didn't realize I was cut off until I saw my screen gray.
So sorry.
Thank you for bringing me back. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, we're all about love over here, even if I screw things up.
So, you guys take care.
Hold on. Anthony, do you have permission to remove him now from the show?
No, give him a shameless plug. Do we do shameless plug?
Yes. Anyone needs any packaging within the hospitality, how can we find you guys?
Well, for PMI, it's packexpo.com is the best place to go. And then it'll take you to pmi.org and our media company and all the other things we do.
And just so you know the perforated bags, the little perforated bags you see in for bread, for Italian bread, things like that in the store that you probably see packaging thing. You're welcome. I invented that.
Good for you.
What?
Yep. I created it 23 years ago at Exec in New York. I asked my packaging guy to come up with that bag. Now he got the money, but that was the first bag to ever do that for bread. You're welcome.
There you go.
Wow. All right, Mike. Very funny. All right, Jim. Thank you so much.
We'll see you guys. Take care.
I'll talk to you later.
And I also invented the flip cap that you have in your shower, so you're welcome on that too.
Jesus, man, you're crushing me. All right.
And don't call me Jesus. Anthony will be fine.
Anthony, you are just like the Holy One. Blessed be he if I was Christian. All right. Have you lowered your property taxes yet? Remember, now is the time. Last year was hard on your revenues, so don't forget to get tax relief this year. You've got to reach out to our friends over at Bright Support. They can help you. So book your free 30-minute consultation with them now at brightsupport.net/hotels. And of course, call them at 833-411-2233. Please let them know No Vacancy News sent you. Anthony, any final words before we wrap up? I would say you sign up for my email newsletter, but I think that's not a good idea.
Somebody just said something about Hotel Impossible. Discovery Plus, go to Hotel Impossible. Actually, it's back on Amazon too. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Cool.
So Google's listening to me, started binge watching Hotel Impossible. Now this live feed pops up on YouTube for me. Hey, that's great. I like that. I like when they impose their will on people.
Yeah, at least when it works for us, right?
Absolutely. And just so you know, whether you're in the packaging business or whether you're in whatever business, the hat business, I think we should give everybody a shameless plug, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you for setting me straight, Anthony. I appreciate you so much.
You slammed the door on that guy, bro.
All right. Jeez. Sorry. Anthony, sorry. I don't know why I keep going to the Jesus, especially since
Glenn treats his guests like his emails. That is a good one.
Trash.
Listen, let me come to your defense. You are actually very gracious and you are very, very thoughtful in the way you handle our guests. So that was just all right, I'm done with the package guy.
And it's important for everybody to know that I don't mind getting shit from people because it's important. Because it shows, typically, at least with Anthony and I, it shows the love between us. So that's what's most important, right?
All right. So take us out.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We got more great guests tomorrow. Remember, Friday night at 5 p.m., we're launching Friday Night Audit with me and Craig Sullivan. He's created Checkout California and the Click Conference. It's going to be a much more fun, lots of laughs, not serious stuff like we do topics here. And then on Sunday night, BT Talks Baseball returns, and I'll be on there as well. Check it out as well. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. You've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
All right.